Hi guys, today it's revision day for troisième. First we're going to revise for your test and then your test will help you for your final project. Here are the 9 points that we're going to talk about today. Press pause if you want to have a look at them. All along this chapter, we talked about the past, of course, because we went back to the times of slavery. Then we moved to segregation. To describe all these facts of the past, we used the preterite. The preterite is the tense that you used to describe, well, the past. You have to remember 2 things, that you have regular verbs and irregular verbs. For regular verbs, you have to put ed at the end of the verb and didn't if you need a negative sentence. Didn't plus the verb at the infinitive form. For example, in our lesson, we said that most slaves worked in sugar, tobacco and cotton plantations. I am sure you remember the video we saw from the movie Amistad when we saw the slaves going from Africa to America. To describe this trip, we used the passive voice as they were victims. The passive voice is used when you need to concentrate on not the person doing the action, but the person who is a sort of victim of the action. You use the passive voice with be, that you have to put at all the tenses you want, and the past participate. Past participate you can do with ed at the end of the verb, or you can use the third column of your irregular verbs. For example, we said the slaves were captured by other black people. They were exchanged against weapons. We described the horrible conditions which slaves lived in, and for this we described their life on the plantation and what they had to do, their obligations. Had to is always followed by a verb at the infinitive. For example, in your lesson, we said slaves had to work in fields and they had to work in the owner's house too. We also talked about what was forbidden for them, the absence of rights. And for this, we used 3 different expressions. We said that they were not allowed to do something, they were forbidden to do something, or they couldn't do something. For example, we said they couldn't own property and it was forbidden travel and marry. After describing life during slavery, we talked about segregation. Segregation, as you must remember, is the legal separation of blacks and whites in public places. This was, for example, the case in the southern states of America. Southern states, for example, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and so on. Even though slavery was finished, many black people continued to live in horrible conditions. And then we described their life during segregation. And for this, we took the expression used to. Used to plus a verb at the infinitive form serves to describe habits of the past. For example, we could say that in your lesson, white people used to consider black people as inferior. After we finished to talk about Martin Luther King, we compared the past and the present because we wondered if Martin Luther King's dream had come true today. And for this, we used 2 lessons. One to say if it continued with the word still, and for example, we could say that black people sometimes still live in difficult conditions. And we also use the expression no longer to say that something had stopped. For example, we could say that schools were no longer segregated. Okay, they no longer went to different restaurants, for example. After talking about the past and after talking about the present, we concentrated on the future. We studied Martin Luther King's speech, I Have a Dream, and we rephrased his dreams. For example, we said, I have a dream that one day the USA will really consider that all men are equal. And in this sentence, we can hear will consider. So you have to remember that when you want to talk about the future, you have to say will plus infinitive. We also talked about another of his dreams, and we said, I have a dream that one day black and white people will be able to live together in peace. So in this lesson, we'll be able to, we talked about something that we hope will be possible in the future. For example, if you want to talk about May 11th, when the lockdown will be is finished, you can say that you will be able to go out. You will not forget to revise the vocabulary of your lessons and the different dates and facts concerning slavery and segregation. Don't forget Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Ruby Bridges, and all the other heroes. And finally, do not forget that in a speech, it is good to repeat one expression. For example, I have a dream. So now I count on you to open your copybook and start your revisions because you have to be ready for the test. And next week we have the big final project. Good luck, guys. Bye-bye.